nice to always have a voice. You know, it doesn't mean you have to have your way, but everybody has to have a voice in discussions. And without the voice, we don't have the trust. You know, we don't have that space for, healthy conflict. Healthy conflict is good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's discussion, but you have to have that foundation. I think, that makes an awful lot of sense.
And then there's some family systems where that's not the popular choice right now, that you don't get a voice or a vote or whatever, then okay, but don't expect me to do anything for you. Like, that's where the alignment comes in again. If I've tried to talk, or I want to learn, or I'm going to figure it out, and you're still saying no because you're going to control from the patriarchy or the matriarchy or the grave or beyond, okay, then I'm out, or what. And that's where you have to be, and back to that alignment of what part of the baton is being passed, what's not. Like, if I can only show up in the way of gender roles, like, I'm not going to clean the dishes every year, I'm going to sit with the men in the parlor and smoke cigars this year. Like, where do we have the little ability to like change how we're showing up and what's possible?
I want to just jump on that baton thing again, because people often make the mistake of thinking that there's really only one baton and that only one person can hold it at the same time. And there are really a bunch of different batons if you look at it. So there's ownership, there's decision making, there's management, there's all kinds of different things that are going on. And any business that expects to operate where one person has all of that, and then on Friday one week decides to pass the baton, and Monday morning someone else comes in and takes over all of those things, that isn't going to work so well. So figure out what you can and what you want to, and what the people are ready to take on, and start doing things gradually, and transitioning all the knowledge that one generation has. That will take years in a best case scenario. So start doing it now, and if you can start to include some decision making in part of that in small pieces until the person learns, then that's a great place to start. Slowly but surely.
And help me understand why you're making the decision. Even if I don't have a say, like, I'd love to know what was behind it. If it just comes out on a state doctrine when you're dead, like, that doesn't help me understand like anything about it. And once I realized the context of what was happening for you while you were making that decision, I can have so much more compassion. If you say nothing and do nothing, like, okay, so you're a post-World War II era person. There was, you're beaten and slapped and there was no thank yous and trophies. Like, okay, when I put that helmet on, I can completely understand where you're coming from and like what's possible there. You were saying something, Steve, that made me think, and now I can't remember what it is. So if it comes back, I'll shout it out.
You got it. It's all interesting. I mean, that's the part behind all of these pieces, is that if the conversations happen, then it opens up the door again for trust and alignment. But you don't have a chance if you don't have the conversation. We had a family that Kay and I did a family meeting just purely on estate conversation. It was the first one. The kids are in their 20s. They just are graduating college. And, Dad said, my father never had these. My dad his dad's still alive. Their grandfather never has these conversations. Everything's a black box. And, once it goes in the black box, it's out. So I'm doing these. And the conversation with the family was just brilliant. And the kids really appreciated understanding why Dad may have in the past done some things differently. We opened up, some pretty raw conversation and allowed the space for it. And when we got done, the dad, I sat there saying, I hope he's going to talk to me again, because there was some parts that, was a little tough. And he looked at me and said, we're doing this every year. That we have to do this every year, because my kids are going to change. They're going to get older and they're going to get wiser. I'm going to change, and we need to be ready when my parents pass. That's a lot of money that these kids are going to be responsible for someday, and we need to get them ready for it. And so this is just